Hi guys, Darth Deuces here, back on our Star Wars The Black Series action figure review. Today taking a look at a deluxe release, and a release I was actually very much looking forward to. It is SM-33 from Skeleton Crew. Uh, SM-33 is probably my favorite character from the show, which I enjoyed it more than I was expecting to be honest. I haven't picked up many of the Skeleton Crew figures. The only other one I have is Captain Brutus. I wouldn't mind getting Jawed at some point, but I'm waiting for like a pretty good sale on him, and I don't know if I'll ever get the group of kids, but we'll see. But figure of SM-33 was what I was most looking forward to, and I gotta say, I think Hasbro really knocked it out of the park with this one. I actually think this is one of their best deluxe releases they've ever done. The deluxe releases, it can always be difficult to really justify spending the full price for these figures, but I feel like this one's pretty worth it. It's a great figure. Anyways, taking a closer look, you can see he looks really good. The silver is, I believe, just a cast in the silver plastic, but it's a really nice plastic that doesn't look too, for lack of a better term, plasticky or like bad looking. There's not a lot of like marbling you see in like some Marvel Legends figures. It has a nice shine to it to still kind of give it that metallic look, which looks really, really cool. And you also notice he has a ton of rust and weathering all throughout the figure for the most part. On the back, he is pretty clean. That is pretty much standard Black Series at this point to make their figures clean in the back. But everywhere else, he's got a lot of great sculpting work. The head sculpt looks really great. I love the kind of skeletal look of his head design. Some really nice paint apps around like his mouth, I guess, speaker. And you got some silver and white to simulate the his eye lens that's lit up, which is super cool. And on the back, he's got all these cables that are made of a soft plastic, so they'll allow for you to move the head. They are glued down at the back of the head, which I think is pretty nice. They're not flying all over the place, and they still look proper when he's turning his head instead of being like hanging off the side. So that's pretty cool, and it looks really good. And you got the back, very C-3PO kind of esque with the back design there. And just a lot of nice sculpted details to make him look worn and old, which is super cool. Front, you get the same thing, a little hit of red there, more weathering. You got hits of yellow on both arms, and then you got brown or bronzish brown for the joints. He has similar joints to like the K2SO with the the clear piece in the middle. And then on one side, he's got more like a darker bronze on the inside, or copper on the inside of that arm, but there's not the same color on this side, which is at least accurate to. I thought maybe my figure maybe had a paint mistake, but that is what the promo images show for this figure as well. Hands look good. The right hand is in like a sort of gripping pose, and then the left hand's a bit more open, dynamic pose. You can kind of make it look like he's pointing, which is cool. You got the little arm plates on the side there. Then you got more of that nice rusted weathering applied to the figure, which looks really good. It's more of that brown on the joints there, and you've got the asymmetrical legs. So you just got the peg leg going on, very piratey, and then the larger foot, normal foot on the side. You would think he'd have a tough time standing up on his own with the peg leg, but it's actually not that hard. As you can see, he's standing perfectly fine, and he's pretty stable. However, you do get an accessory to help with that should you need it. But I think he looks really great. Love the design. They really leaned into the pirate aesthetic with this droid, and it worked really well. Looks really great. Like this a lot. Articulation wise, he has a dumbbell joint or a joint and the neck in both spots in the neck here, base of the head and then base of the neck there. So he's actually really expressive. You can really pivot his head around, turn up, down, every which way. Very expressive. I think that's super cool. The shoulder plates or whatever are attached like this. Most figure shoulder pads are these days with the O-ring between the peg of the shoulder. So they will rotate with the shoulder. So there's rotation there. A hinge that goes out actually a little past 90. Single hinge elbows that actually go further than 90, which is super nice. And then there is rotation there. I think there's rotation. There's not rotation at the base of the joint. There's a reason for that, but there is rotation at the top of the bicep there. There is wrist swivel, and then there is wrist vertical hinges, which I think is fine for this figure. There is a torso joint. You are not going to get much up and down motion, but you do get some rotation there. Hip joints have a ball joint, and he has a lot of clearance, so you can get his legs up really far. They go out a decent amount, not too far, but a decent amount. They do kind of shift a bit as well. You have a swivel at the thigh there, a single hinge at the knee that goes 90. I don't think there's another swivel, no. And then nothing really at the peg leg. It does swivel, I guess, technically. But on the normal foot, it swivels, as well as has a rocker for pivot. So pretty good articulation as well. I don't got much to complain about. As you can see, I can get him in his pretty standard posing when he's in normal mode, in his kind of hunched look. So that's pretty cool. Before I get to, well, I'll do accessories first, actually. So the figure actually comes with a decent amount of stuff. You do get this little tiny clear display base. So, whoops. So, like I said, he doesn't really have any issues posing, standing on his own. But if you want some extra stability, you can port his foot in that stand, and that'll give him some extra stability on the shelf, sort of. You kind of still got to mess with it a bit. I would say that the stand is most useful for more action-oriented poses because, like I said, you can get in the stand pretty fine without it. But it is nice to include that, so that's good. It does come with the little arm shields, so you can actually plug, untab these, and then tab in the arm shields you had, like so. I guess I can do it for the other side too. One small gripe is that, at least on the left side, it's not the most secure connection, so I do find when I have like this one on, it likes to pop off a bit more easily than I'd like it to. But as you can see, you got the shields there. I do like they got some carbon scoring marks. That's super cool, like they've been blasted. And that looks really good. I like those a lot. And then lastly, he comes with, I think, maybe the tiniest accessory ever, which is a fairly big surprise that they even did this. I'm standing out here. You actually get the little tiny mouse, or space mouse or rat or whatever that lives in his head, and it will poke out of his eye sometimes. It is just a brown sculpted piece. There's no painted detail. I wish they maybe put even a little bit of paint on it, because he has kind of a lighter colored face in the show. And without the paint, he kind of just looks like a little brown turd. But you do get the little rat. And what you can do is you can actually, his eye is hollow there, just like in the show. You can actually pop the head off. And what's nice about the wires being glued down is that you shouldn't lose the top piece that's always attached to them. Then the skinnier side of the rat will slot through the hole. It's a little finicky because it's so tiny to get it slotted in there, but there we go. You can get it slotted in there. As you can see, I got the little head poking out. And you can just close up the head, and now he's got the little mouse poking out of his eye, which is super cool that you get the option for either or for display. I'm just gonna keep the rat in there forever because I don't want to lose it, and I'd recommend the same. But if you want the look without the little mouse poking out, you have that option. So this figure has a really cool feature that I think really puts him kind of above and beyond a lot of other deluxes. If you've watched the show, you know that SM-33, when he's kind of in battle mode, I guess you could say, he can actually elongate his torso and his limbs to be a lot taller and a lot more menacing looking. And they've actually engineered that with this figure. What I think is super cool is that the figure can actually do the transformation instead of just having like swappable pieces that take up accessory slots so we don't get the other accessories. We get the accessories he needs to come with, and you can do the full transformation without any swapping of the parts, which is super cool. Before we do that though, I will do some comparisons with him in his just kind of normal mode. So here he is with the only other Skeleton Crew figure I have, which I think is a relative average height. He might be a little slightly taller than normal. But you can see even when he's all hunched down and retracted, he's still pretty close to the height of a normal Black Series figure. Then just some with other deluxes. With my, let's say my favorite deluxe, here's Darth Malgus. And with a deluxe that came out this year, here is Kelnaka. And then just moving Malgus aside, another deluxe that came out this year, which is probably still my favorite deluxe release of the year, Savage Opress. So you can see they are taller than him for now, but when I have him fully extended, I think he might actually be one of the tallest Black Series figures they've released. So let's move these guys out of the way for now and try to do the transformation on camera. So I guess first off, you can actually extend the torso. So the torso fully extends, which gives them a lot more height already and gives you a lot of nice painted detail of all the cables and wiring. Unfortunately, this paint is only in the front. There's nothing in the back, but this is super cool extra detail you get to see when he's extended like this. And I do like how it kind of locks in place. It won't just droop down or slide back down. There's a bunch of locking mechanisms, and you get a little more, not really much more crunch, but you get a bit more of a freer rotation when you do this. Then on the arms here, you can extend at the hinge joint and then extend at the wrists, which again, if you can hear those clicks on camera, they do lock into place. Again, really nice so that they don't just kind of, well, you wouldn't have that issue with the arms really, but they won't like slide back into place. So there's the arms done. And then on the legs, these ones are pretty tight. The right above the thigh or the knee, those extend. They are quite tight and require a bit of force to get to extend, but that's a good thing because when he's standing there, you don't want these like sinking down and then he'll fall over. They needed to be solid, so that's really great to see. And then just above the ankle, you can extend the peg leg and extend the wrist, or yeah, the ankle, and then those also lock into place. And now you have, I like to straighten up his head a little bit. And then now you have SM-33 fully extended, and as you can see, a lot taller. That is a super, super cool feature. And he looks great, and you still get all the articulation. I think with the elbow joints, you actually get an even deeper bend because there's now more clearance for the joint. So that's super cool. But again, we can now bring the other figures in here. So now here is Brutus. He is now a full head taller, at least, than Brutus, maybe even a head and a half. Fully standing up. And here is Kelnaka. Again, taller than Kelnaka. Not by a lot, but he is taller than Kelnaka. Darth Malagus, he's taller than him. And then lastly, Savage, who is pretty tall, but the SM-33 is again taller than him. He is, like I said, one of the tallest, I think one of the tallest Black Series figures. Might be the tallest, I'm not sure. And still retains all of the articulation. So you can, you know, still, like I said, you get an even further bend in the elbow, I'm pretty sure. Not by a lot, but there still is more. But you can still get him pretty posed up. Let's see if I can do something real quick. Let's see if I can do it without the stand. There we go. So I got him in a pose there, so you can see definitely still very posable. You can get him standing again without the stand, although for, like I said, poses like these, I would recommend the stand. But yeah, absolutely fantastic. This figure kind of blows me away. It's one of my favorite Black Series figures of the year by him already, and I just have owned it for like a couple days, but just a really impressive figure. I also forgot a piece of articulation now. He actually also has butterfly joints that are really cleverly hidden in the torso as well. So overall, I think this is a really great figure. I actually 100% recommend this figure. Even if you're not a fan of the Skeleton Crew or haven't watched it yet, it's just a really good Star Wars droid figure. Like I say before, a lot of the times it is hard to kind of get past the price point of the deluxe figures, but this figure I think does so much where I think it's actually warrants the price point. Looks fantastic both sculpt wise and great paint for the most part. Great articulation, all new sculpting that they're probably not going to get reuse out of. Comes with all the accessories I can think of him to come with for the most part, and has the full transformation feature for a lot of extra engineering that you don't get with other Black Series figures or a lot of other figures in general at these price points. It's just a fantastic release. I am super impressed with it, and I highly recommend it, and would definitely say it's one of Hasbro's best deluxe Black Series figures. I might slightly prefer Savage only because of the character, and I've wanted that figure made for many years. But aside from that, I actually objectively think SM-33 might be the best Black Series figure this year so far. It's just fantastic. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. I'll see you all in the next video. May the force be with you.